Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are back in 1.21.4, and that is because I want to talk about some of the highly suggested features that didn't get added into the Gardens Awakens update. I have seen this suggestion a lot, and I have also been getting it a lot on the Gardens Awakens Plus mod, which is a mod that I'm currently making, which improves the 1.21.4 update. I will have a link in the description so you can check that out if you are interested in that mod. But this feature is the fog inside of the Pale Gardens, and a lot of people wanted the biome to have more condensed fog, kind of like how the Nether works. Because for example, if we look inside of the overworld doesn't have fog, apart from at the end of your render distance to kind of fade out the world. But if we quickly just head to the Nether, and as you can see now we're in the Nether has a lot more fog to make the Nether feel a little bit different. And players wanted this kind of fog inside of the Pale Gardens. Obviously it wouldn't be blue, it'd probably be a grey colour. Now let's quickly talk about why that wouldn't work. First of all, it wouldn't work because the biome is in the overworld. No other biome in the overworld has fog. It is exclusive to the Nether, and I think the End does also have kind of fog. But imagine if you was walking around and you was to be inside of a dark oak forest. If you was to adventure into the Pale Gardens, you would then have fog, meaning that you probably wouldn't be able to see outside of the Pale Gardens, which I think some people like the idea of. But also if you was to build here, Minecraft obviously wants to make every biome buildable, so if you want to build your base here, it'll be very annoying to build a base, because your base will be then filled with fog. That is why the Nether is kind of annoying to build in, because your builds become hidden inside of the Nether fog, and it becomes then more annoying than useful. And if you was to have a base, let's just say this was a house, if there was a fog around this, it would make the biome more annoying. And I understand where people are coming from. The fog would have then made the biome more unique, and obviously if you don't like the fog, then don't build there. But the biome has a unique grass colour and foliage colour, meaning that the biome is already unique in that way. And also, if you want to farm the eye blossoms, you need to come to this biome and build, because obviously the farm for them. And if there is fog there, that might discourage players from building. Now, I do have a few ideas on how this could be solved, so the fog isn't limited to the biome. And this would then also make it so players can use the fog in their own builds. And this would be an item. Let's just say you could place down a new flower type. Maybe the flower could look like a spore blossom. This flower would then produce a radius of fog around it. So maybe let's say it produces 8 blocks of fog in each direction. I think that would be cool, because then if you don't like the idea of the fog, you can come to the biome, break all of these, and then the fog will be gone, meaning you can build there without it. But if you like the fog, then you can pick these up, move them to your base or wherever you want them to be, and then use the fog in your own builds. This one would be really good for Halloween builds or spooky builds, because then you can create like a mist effect around it. And then once again, like most features in Minecraft, it's optional for the player. I think if it was limited to a block or a flower, it don't have to be a flower. It could have been maybe a new block you have to craft or you find inside of the trees. Maybe like Creaking Hearts gave off a mist effect to make them a little bit different. But Creaking Hearts obviously already have their own unique use of spawning the creaking. The Pale Garden biome is already built up of some features we've not seen in Minecraft before. If you place pale hanging moss on the underside of pale oak leaves or pale oak logs, it will play a ambient sound randomly. And we've never seen anything like this before, where if you place a block on a certain block, then it plays an ambient sound. Normally, ambient sounds are limited to the biome. There are also some other ambient sounds that you can find. For example, if you was to surround a Creaking Heart block fully in pale oak logs, and by fully I mean on all 6 sides, that then has a chance to play an eerie noise as well. And then finally, if you have a eye blossom flower, this is opened or closed. If these are placed down on pale moss blocks, then there is also a chance these can play an ambient sound. So maybe to produce some kind of fog, it could have been something like that, where you have to place a block on a certain block for it to activate. Because then once again, it's optional and the player can remove it if they don't like it. But if they do like it, they can keep it and possibly move it to their own base. Now, the second idea I had was to have the fog linked to the creaking, because the fog, I think, is what people want to make the creaking fight a bit more unique, where maybe the creaking could be sitting behind a bit of fog, and then you obviously have to explore to find it a bit more. The warden gives a darkness effect around players in a radius of it, so if this warden quickly detects me, you can see my screen does go quite black. and that is basically the darkness effect. So the creaking could have been something like that, where if you are within, say, maybe 50 blocks of a creaking spawned by a creaking heart, maybe the creaking could then give you a new effect which lowered your render distance or the sight distance like the warden does. Now obviously, unlike the warden gives off this black color. They could have maybe made it so it's some kind of grey colour to match the biome. And then that would also make it seem like the creaking is affecting you as well as exploring, which I think would have added another step to the creaking as well. I understand why people want the fog in the biome. It will make the creaking fight a lot better because it means that, for example, if there was a creaking all the way over there, currently we could see it. Whereas if there was fog making my render distance slightly lower, then it would be a lot harder because you'd have to adventure around a bit more and look around more corners. We might be able to visualize this kind of with a lowered render distance. So if I lower my render distance to 2, which is the lowest, you can see that I think it does make the biome feel cooler. But I think, once again, it shouldn't be per biome because lower render distance is always annoying in the game. It's annoying when you go to fight the warden, and it's also annoying when you're inside of the nether. And I do agree it does create for a cooler experience because you have to check around more corners than if you could just up your render distance to max and then explore that way. Now, one downside to it being linked to the creaking is that then you would know there's a creaking within radius of you. If your screen goes from being normal to having the low fog, but maybe the radius could be like 50 blocks from a creaking, so you don't know where it is, but you just know that it's within some kind of radius. And not gonna lie, I think I like the idea of the blocks granting it, but I also like the idea of the creaking granting it, because then it seems like the creaking is trying to mess with you to make you not find where it's located, and also make it so you can't find its heart, which is obviously keeping it alive. Now, to end off this video, I completely understand why Minecraft didn't add fog, because although it would make for a really cool experience when fighting the creaking, you've also got to think about when you're not fighting the creaking. When players come here to build farms, bases, or anything like that, they could make the fog render at a certain height, but let's say you was in a cave below the Pale Gardens and your screen was very foggy, it also wouldn't be a cool experience. So I definitely think that if Minecraft does re-explore the fog idea for either the Pale Gardens or another biome in the future, I definitely think they should link it to some kind of item, block, or mob. I think just giving a biome in the overworld fog is definitely not a good idea. And I definitely can see now, if Minecraft did add it, there probably would have been a lot of people who didn't like it outside of the creaking experience. Because let's just say this is how it is. If you was to build a base here, it's very hard to tell where your base is because you can't see no further than like 20 blocks. And even when you're flying above the biome, let's say you have an elytra, you still really can't see. But anyway, if you guys have any suggestions on how fog could be implemented into the biome, do let us know. I might experiment with it inside of the Gardens Awakens Plus mod. But once again, it's something we want to get right, because just adding it to the biome, I don't think is the way to go. But anyway, if you enjoyed, do like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!